Welcome back. It's still VOP this morning on Voice of the People TV, and we're moving straight down to the front pages of the national dailies. And before us this morning, we have the Daily Trust. We also have the Daily Independent. We have the Guardian and the Punch newspaper. I pray time will actually permit us to, look at all those national dailies before us this morning. And I would like to start with the Punch newspaper that have its banner headline to be Russian flag, FG probes for Northern political bigwigs. Russian flags, FG probes for Northern political bigwigs. And this was what Mo was rightly talking about earlier. He said, what about the protests happening in the north? We have some youth in the north waving the Russian flag, and some of them were even chanting, Russia, you're welcome. Some of them have some write-up that reads, we need help. Russia, please come. We are Nigerians and we need help. And, and all that. The writer to that banner headline reads, influential political figures from Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi suspected of sponsoring protests. Influential political figures from Kaduna, Katsina, Bauchi suspected of sponsoring protests. FG deploys operatives in Niger, Chad borders, protests, arrowheads, disown Russian flag wavers. FG deploys operatives in Niger, Chad borders, and protests, arrowheads, disown Russian flag wavers. And just beside the nameplate, we have another headline that reads, CBN OK's Unity, Providus, and Major. SEC reviews next week. CBN OK's Unity, Providus, Major, SEC review next week. And that is on page 29 of the Punch newspaper. 1 trillion naira spent to fight insecurity in 6 months. According to report, 1 trillion naira spent to fight insecurity in 6 months. And you can get that story on the page 30 of the Punch newspaper. David will tell me why I giggled when I actually read that anyway. And then we have another headline just beside that to be reps fail to effect 50% pay cut. Reps fail to effect 50% pay cut. That is on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. Varsity is mobilizing unqualified graduates for NYSC, and that is a report according to JAMB. And we have a pictorial where we have the service chiefs, and they're just there. We have beneath that other headlines that reads Naira crude sale yet to happen. Operators. Naira crude sale yet to happen. That's according to operators, and that is also on the page 30 of the Punch newspaper. 4 suspected cultists nabbed for killing Ogun Baba. 4 suspected cultists nabbed for killing Ogun Baba. And the last but not the least of the headlines on the Punch newspaper this morning is import duty waiver on rice. Orders begin next week. A report from the federal government. We have an interesting headlines here on the front page of the Punch newspaper. And Mo, did you get the second one that reads reps fail to effect 50%?
Oh yes, quite an interesting one indeed, I must say. Because they by themselves came out to make that announcement that they will be effecting a 50% on their salaries. Some Nigerians lamented that, oh no, it's not about your salaries, it's about what you collect, your office running cost. That's where the money is, and other allowances. Why don't you cut that one? Well, and then we talked about how much their salaries are.
Exactly.
Some say it's 800, some say 600.
We're yet to know.
Case may be. And a 50% pay cut would bring it to either 300 or 400,000 naira, as the case may be. But they have also come out to report themselves that they were unable to effect the salary pay cuts because of bureaucracy. Yes, bureaucratic bottlenecks in the implementation of that intention, because it was an intention.
So it's more like a statement, not a commitment.
Well, the commitment part is what we haven't seen yet, but the statement has been made. Will it be? It was supposed to be implemented last month. That's July.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. And bureaucratic bottlenecks has been blamed for that non-implementation of that one. Well, will there be an implementation next month? Should we keep our eyes on the House of Reps to see if they will actually implement a pay cut. To what end, really? When they say we'll take half of our salary and give the rest to government to help
the money for them to cover
suffering in the land. I don't see how we can monitor the implementation of that. Because if you're getting a pay cut and you're giving the money back to the government for the government to use to augment in solving the issue of hunger, how do we monitor? How do we know what is used? Let's not also forget
that these are representatives of some constituencies in Nigeria. So they came from somewhere by some people's vote. What is happening to that constituency? Why are they not going back there to say, okay, we would monitor this by ourselves?
Funny enough, I'm actually looking at it.
Accountability and transparency is a movie that you don't want to watch when it comes to politicians.
Recall also that the statement actually came when Nigerians are of the opinion that they're going to have a protest to talk about how hunger have been bedeviling in the country and how untold hardship actually is here. And they suggested that giving the 50% pay cut to actually help the government so that they'll be able to make enough provision for Nigerians. And not just that also. When they come up now to say they are failing to do this, one want to ask, what happened to the trust some Nigerians actually are beginning to have for the representatives that we have?
It's not their fault.
Don't they know about the bottleneck of the bureaucracy in the House before actually coming up to make this statement? Because it was more like a unanimous statement that they actually brought to the fore or to the knowledge of Nigerians. So why would they not think about all this, dot the I's and cross the T's before coming out to say we are giving the people 50% pay cuts, even when Nigerians actually were like, we are not beggars, we put it there and all that.
David did say something like, these representatives came from constituencies, I beg your pardon. And one would now ask, we do know that trucks of rice were given to representatives, were given to ministers. To take back to their constituencies. Some of those trucks of rice, 25 kg, bags of rice, were seen stashed away in some parts of the country in stores, waiting to be rebagged. In some of the places, they were being rebagged already. And what's that to wonder? If you love your people so much, at least the little that you've been given to alleviate their sufferings, you should be seen to be using that to alleviate the sufferings of the people, as against audio money.
Do you know what? So sometimes, honestly, right? Sometimes I wonder how this political elites do think of the people. Do you know how much psychological love that would be seen and shown by the people if a representative is standing where these trucks are being handed over to the people and not just to a local government chairman or anything, like they are monitoring it practically?
And not just people within their party.
Exactly.
From their constituency.
The community.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we are having a Naira crude sale yet to happen. And this is according to operators.
To Dangote, right?
To Dangote and all the, local operators or refineries here in Nigeria. It is actually, I don't really understand what is really happening. Today, we're getting a different statement from the government. And then tomorrow, it's more like they're actually refuting it. Because if you wake up to say we have to sell crude oil in Naira to Dangote refinery so that the cost of petrol, that's a PMS, premium motor spirit, and even diesel will reduce, because that is actually one of the things that Nigerians are talking about, high cost of movement in Nigeria. And then now we're yet to have this happen. It's more like we need more people to be the whistleblowers, to be talking about what is really happening, especially in that oil and gas sector, so that to be able to find out what is really happening. But they told us also that that statement that was made by FG, directing NNPCL to sell crude to Dangote in Naira, that will take time to happen, since crude oil that is being gotten from Nigeria has been sold to the people that needs it, up front. Like, we get this crude oil this month, but this one actually has been booked by particular people, and we need to make sure we remit to them. So it's going to take, quite pool of time for them to be able to sell to Dangote, as the case may be.
Interesting times. I would also want to react on a particular headline, but before then as well, yesterday when our crew went out to Ojota to cover the situation of the protest, even though it was rested yesterday, they were harassed by some purported government thugs, and of course close to the police around the same axis. Not just our crews, even most of the media people that were visible at the venue of the protest yesterday. So we would definitely keep our eyes even on all of those, because our correspondent, we're not stopping. We are going to give you live footages from the venues of these protests happening today and of course in the nearer days. So we just wanted to put that out there. All right, quickly, let's just react to this particular headline from Punch. That's the 1 trillion naira that had been spent from January to June. Now, according to Punch newspaper, this was this budget implementation of this particular figures was gotten by an intelligence outfit known as Beacon Consulting. And interestingly, 1.38 trillion naira has been spent in just 6 months for the military as concerning insecurity in Nigeria.
Fighting insecurity.
Fighting insecurity in Nigeria. And no fewer than 5,801 persons have been killed by terrorists within that same period.
Okay.
And 4,346 citizens were abducted in 7 months of 2024. And one goes to wonder, that's aside the over 5,000 Nigerians that are still at the IDP camps. Now, in all of this, if this amount of money, over 1 trillion naira, has been spent, what and how then should we look forward to a better tomorrow when it comes to having our representatives in the presence of the National Assemblies, the House of Reps, not asking questions how these funds have been spent? It's an interesting one for Nigerians at this point, but we really would keep our hopes alive. And,
when you say lawmakers not asking questions, I recall a video of a session at the chambers, the Senate, where the president, the Senate, the president of the Senate was trying to get the views of the lawmakers. I'm trying to recall exactly what transpired. He did say that it was on the monies being given to service chiefs, security chiefs.
Right.
And them compelling the service chiefs to ensure that those monies are used to acquire things to be used in fighting insecurity. And then it was put to a voice vote. And the nays had it. I recall that when I watched that one, the Senate president read that one twice. The first, he himself appeared shocked. He read it and he was like, I don't think you know what I just said. And then he read it a second time. And the voices of the nays were louder than the yeas. And he had to hit the gavel. And he was obviously in shock. So I don't think, if you look at that, I don't think Nigerians are ready. And by Nigerians, I mean those at the corridors of power are ready to effectively combat insecurity in the country. Because a lot of things are being overlooked.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why insecurity has thrived for as long as it has. But anyway, let's go to another paper now. There is the Guardian newspaper right in front of me. Interesting headlines from here. FARC allocation, citizens wallow in misery as governors cede duties to FG amid 5.34 trillion naira cut. Well, we've talked about that one already. And there's a breakdown there. I really like the way the Guardian breaks some of these things down.
Honestly, I do.
It says total FARC shared by states in last 1 year, 5.34 trillion naira. States IGR is about 40% of FARC allocations. FARC allocations by geopolitical zones Northwest, 1.2 trillion naira. Northeast, 807.3 billion naira. That's 807.3 billion naira. Southwest, 1.1 trillion naira. North Central, 948.24 billion naira. South, 1.84 trillion naira. Southeast, 680.59 billion naira. And then you have in H1 2024, 7.07 trillion naira was made available to the federating entities. And then there's a breakdown, month by month, up until June. In January, it was 1.14 trillion. In February, it was 1.2 trillion. March, 1.1 trillion. April, 1.2 trillion. May, 1.1 trillion. June, 1.35 trillion. And then it just goes on and on. 12% of world's population in extreme poverty live in Nigeria. That is a scary figure. I don't care if you say you don't believe these figures pandered by certain organizations. They're just estimates. They might not be accurate. But for these figures to come out, it shows that it tells that we should be concerned.
Yeah.
If 12% of the world's population in extreme poverty reside in Nigeria, then something isn't being done right.
We're also told about the fact that by end of 2024, Nigerians will actually be suffering from,
Might be suffering
from, acute lack of food. Malnutrition and all that. And that's as a result of the insecurity bedeviling the country. It was not attached to any disaster, natural disaster. No, there's no flooding, no drought, nothing. Just insecurity. Displaced people in Nigeria are actually already on the rise. And then children, too, are not getting enough things to eat because they are there meant to be in IDP camps. And the little that's been provided for them actually is not even that balanced to start with. And then bring it back again to the society where we don't even have the poor people again. We're not having the poorest of the poor. Because what we call poor people food, or the staple food that Nigerians actually should enjoy, is no longer within their reach. And
was it one of our guests pointed out to something? He did say that beans at a time was regarded as a food for prisoners. And truly, yes, at a time. If one commits a crime, they mock you by saying, "Oh, you will eat beans, tire," meaning you'll be incarcerated, and that's what you will feed on, just beans. But here, beans is now really expensive.
It's 10,000 naira per bucket paint. The measurement. Yeah, it's 10K now. Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine, and I told him I still have a little cup of beans. He said, "What? You have gold?"
Better get it jealously.
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
It's unfortunate.
How much is Gary, by the way? Because I recall when I was in boarding school, Gary was gold for us then.
Gary, that if you're passing the market, you can even put your hand and pick from
when you want to buy. You just pick. But you can't even do that.
Try it now.
That's like that one you grab is like maybe 200 naira. I'm just saying.
Now you understand that.
Oh well, some more headlines from The Guardian. Kano backs military in denouncing protesters' use of Russian flag. Heed Tinubu's dialogue call, ECOWAS tells protesters. After apology, APC to reinstate Ndume as chief whip. How loopholes in Public Procurement Act nourish graft. Nigeria, other developing countries stuck in middle income trap, says World Bank. FG inaugurates steering committee for digital free zones to boost global tech. CBN saves Unity Bank, clears merger with Providus. And opaque NNPCL and subsidized crude oil for refineries. All right, I'm just checking to make sure that I haven't left out any headline from the cover page of The Guardian. Well, those are the headlines from the cover page of The Guardian newspaper. We just might take one more before we wrap up this segment.
Okay, let's go straight to the Daily Independent, where the banner headline here reads, #End Bad Governance Protest. FG places diaspora sponsors on watch list, freezes their accounts. The writers there, use of foreign flags during protests, coup calls, capital offense. This is from the police. Who authorized lethal force on protesters will be held to account. Atiku. IGP says police, military didn't use live ammunition against protesters. CSOs demand release of Lenin orders detained by security agents. Well, above the nameplates there you find other headlines that reads, Customs CG assures on drastic food prices reduction. CBN okays Providus Unity Bank merger to avert failure. And there are some pictures. There is a picture there, and of course, by the side of that picture, there are other headlines that reads, #End Bad Governance, prosecute whoever committed treason, arson to protesters' demands. PDP tells Tinubu, police will fish out mastermind of #Igbo must go, Lagos government assures. That's some good news there. Rivers APC accuses Fubara of masterminding party secretariats. And then the writers there states, state government describes accusation as baseless. Hares Insurance names Puri, Hiroche, independent non-executive directors. Then there is another bold headline there that reads, to create 1.4 million jobs, FG Malls revamping Nigeria's textile industry. And then the bottom strip there, the final headline reads, nationwide protests, police confront youths as protesters attack motorist traders in Rivers. Well, these are the headlines right there at the front page of the Daily Independent. The one that comes and strikes me very interesting is this Customs CG assuring Nigerians of drastic food supply, food prices reduction. One goes to wonder what statistics is he banking these statements on, or is he just making this statement to die down the protests, however little he can die. That's this protests. But what is about where we draw the curtain?
Well, before we go, the headline that reads, police will fish out mastermind of #Igbo must go, Lagos government assures. I think they should start from getting whoever was behind Lagospedia on Twitter. Yeah. If you can fish that person out and make it public, let us know that this is the individual that, because that account, I think it's a verified account.
It is.
I'm not sure. I need to check again. I need to check. But let's identify, because we've seen that in parts of the north, when people put out tweets like that, they are picked, and it's put in public domain. It's made public. We see the individuals behind the tweets, and then you can now go ahead and prosecute. All right. So let's know who the individual or individuals are, and then we can have some trust. Nigerians can have some trust that you actually intend to fight those that are pushing this bigot agenda. Well, I guess that's how far we can go.
All right, let's take this very short break. When we return, we'll be diving straight to the conversation proper. Stay with us.